Hello, how are you all? My name is Darryl Leaf and I am a double ostomate. I have a urostomy and a colostomy. Why do I say that? Well, I guess it's the whole reason why we'd like to do this fundraising for the Western Australian Ostomy Association. Now, I'll get into a bit of a reason, hopefully my dog stayed a little quiet for a little bit, but get into a little reason as to why I have the stomas, and that will hopefully lead into a bit of context as to why the WA Ostomy Association is so important, and not only to me, but to many West Australians, in fact, thousands. So basically, 2.5 years ago now, September 19th, I went in for a colostomy in hospital in 2019. I was 48 years old, and when they went and did the colostomy, they pretty much stopped it not far after getting into it because my bowel was blocked. They couldn't get past a large tumour that was in my colon, just around the sigmoid area. So context for you, over here we have the ascending colon, transverse, descending, the sigmoid, and it leads to the rectum. And so it was around about the sigmoid. So I was booked in for emergency surgery the very next day, and I had the tumour removed, a low anterior resection of the bowel, of the sigmoid. And basically from that, I come out with an ileostomy, a loop ileostomy, which was on my right hand side here, where my current urostomy is. I'll explain why it changed later. The ileostomy, what they do is they cut, they free up a section of your small intestine, leave it all intact. They poke it through a hole in the abdomen, and then they put a couple of holes in it to allow for an ostomate appliance to be applied to your abdomen, much like the ones I have on here now. And they capture, or that was capturing my output from my food that I eat, so my number twos basically. And that was designed to give me time to recover from the surgery, and the hope was we could reverse that and go back to normal bowel operation. But it didn't happen. Unfortunately, it came back and more had to be done. So I'm very grateful to the West Australian Ostomy Association because the loop ileostomy literally saved my life that day. I just can't, how much I appreciate them and what was done by the surgeons and doctors, and I now have the ostomy products through the Western Australian Ostomy Association. That literally saved my life. Now, I said to you, come back, so we had to cut more of my colon out, so that ended up in me having a colostomy now. So the loop ileostomy was put back together a little bit. Explain why a little bit, because I received a colostomy. So what that means is they had cut all of my colon out from the bottom of the descending colon, top of the sigmoid, all the way down to the rectum and my anus, backside. So if you ever look at a Barbie doll, your child's Barbie doll, look at its butt. I now have what's called a Barbie butt. Everything's all sewn together back there, and I can't use all of that anymore. Now, I spoke about my ileostomy. They had to, when they removed more of my colon, they had to remove my bladder and my prostate, unfortunately. So the original loop ileostomy was then just changed to a urostomy. So that bit of ileostomy, small intestine that was looping out and back into my abdomen, was cut free of my small intestine, and then my small intestine was obviously joined back together again. And then that little bit of small intestine they removed was used as a conduit because there's no bladder there now, so the tubes from my kidneys go to this little conduit, and the conduit then goes through the hole in my abdomen. So I have 2 holes in my abdomen wall here right now. My urine now goes into the urostomy bag. Once again, Stoma's, the Ostomy Association, and what they provide saved my life again a second time. Okay, so very, very grateful. Now, there are many reasons why some people would have a stoma. Mine just happens to be colorectal cancer, bowel cancer. But there could be something like, there's a whole list of them, right? It could be diverticulosis of the IBS. It could be Crohn's disease. There's a whole lot of reasons why you could end up with a colostomy. And this is the reason why I guess ostomy touches so many Western Australians and Australians as well in general. So there are about 48,000 or thereabouts nationwide ostomates running around with appliances like those on their abdomens. And just in Western Australia alone, there are around about 3,600. So you might say, well, that's a small number compared to the rest of Australia, but when you consider our population, that's actually quite a high number. Okay, so you could right now be sitting next to someone with a colostomy, urostomy, ileostomy, and you wouldn't necessarily know it. Okay, but people who rely on these products, rely on them to save their lives, keep them alive, and to improve the quality of life. And in my case now, it's saved my life twice, but now, of course, my cancer being the way it is, it's what it's doing is it's allowing me a better quality of life and for an extended period, I guess, because without the stomas, I would already be dead. The cancer would have got me. There's no way I would have survived the original tumour that they found, and the recurrence was really quite aggressive. So without that surgery and the 2 stomas, I'm fairly confident I wouldn't be here right now. Okay, so the cancer will get me. We know that, but it allows me to live an almost normal life and do normal things. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a paddle for fundraising from in our 6-person outrigger canoe. So we've got at least 1 canoe, might have another one coming, and we're going to paddle from Ocean Reef to Rottnest Island and return back in 1 day. So that's 62 kilometres. So we're going to do it as a changeover. Those in the paddling group will know what we mean by that. And there and back straight away, no stopping, and see how we go. And what we're doing with this fundraising page is letting it out there what we're doing, because there's going to be myself as an ostomate, there's going to be a couple of other ostomates doing it as well, which, there's my little dog sneezing. That race done by people without problems like this would find it difficult to do that race. And the reason I wanted to do it, something like that, was because, ostomates, I think it's a life sentence probably if you're an ostomate out there now, or someone's about to get an ostomy. And it can actually improve your life, and you can still do quite a few things that you did previously. I can't do rope access anymore, or rope rescue, that type of thing. The harness just gets in the way, and not only do I have to contend with the colostomy and urostomy, but I also now have a nephrostomy. So in the back there, I have a tube that goes into the renal pelvis of my left kidney, and that drains my left kidney because I keep having blockages and subsequent infections in my left kidney. So that would be a real difficult ask to be putting working at heights or rescue or rope access harness on. So I can't do that anymore. So, and I found it really difficult when I first got my loop ileostomy to get work again, because I took time off. I didn't have any work coming my way in what I was in my field. And so I looked elsewhere, and I just, I know people, I can't say that people discriminated against me, but I just felt like it was, because I've been in resources, oil and gas, for the last 20 years, and then I've also been part of HR team, so I know and understand, when a person's been looked at seriously for a job, but then you go to the physical and you don't want to do push-ups because you don't want to force a hernia, then you get the phone call the next day that you're no longer being looked at for the role, even though they've just ordered your clothes for you. So, it just felt like discrimination, so, but you can never really say, because there's no obligation for them to tell you why, Then there's other things as well that you have to contend with, going to the bathroom, and my colostomy bags are not drainable. I'd prefer to have them switch out for a new one, but it means when I go to the bathroom, when we're out in the mall or in the city somewhere, I've got this bag of crap, literally. What do I do with it? Can't flush it like that, because it's got the appliance in there as well. And in the men's rooms, of course, you don't have the same bins. So quite often I go to the disabled toilets, and all ostomates have a card, or you can get a card if you don't have one already from the Ostomy Association, and that shows that you're allowed to use the disabled toilets. And quite often in the disabled toilets there are the nappy bins, or the sanitary bins where you can drop it in there, but otherwise you put it in a plastic bag in your bag and take it home with you, or find it in the nearest rubbish bin. So it's actually quite frustrating, and people look at you strange when you come out of the disabled toilets, because when you look at me, what's the problem? There's no disability, there's no problems, you can't see what's under my shirt. And so I've had quite a few strange stares. No one's challenged me on it yet, and they're welcome to, because I can pull out the card. But it just the whole feeling of it. So doing this challenge is just to show that we as ostomates can do things like this that are hard, that are difficult, that people without ostomies would sort of balk at and go, oh, that's too far, we're not doing that one day. But we can do it, and we will do it. And that's why I want to do it, because I owe a lot to Ostomy Association and what they provide for me. And they're a bit like the quiet, diligent worker sitting at the back of the English class. You don't hear a lot about them, because I could have done this for bowel cancer, but there's lots of things already going on in the cancer field. So for fundraising, whereas ostomates are, like I said, the dutiful, diligent worker sitting in the back of the room, just quietly working away, and doing great things, providing an essential service for people like myself. And 3,600 Western Australians. That's a lot of people, okay, of all ages, from little toddlers all the way up to centurions, okay, so people over 100 years old. Like I said, they provide these services to people with many different diseases, not just one, which is why there's such a high number of people that have stomas. Okay, so I would like to do something positive for ostomy, and so I'm going to set quite a high limit on the fundraising. You'll see it there. Don't know if make it. When I saw the limits that were there, I'm like, oh gee, okay, that's quite high. But I've just got to remember where we are, and that's Western Australia, and we know that Western Australians are very generous and will give. So hey, we might make that target. Who knows? But I certainly hope we do. And that's what we're doing. That's really about me and reasons why. And we hope that you give generously, which I know you will, as Western Australians. Thank you very much.